नमो लोये सौरियन्तानं नमो लोये सौरिदानं नमो लोये सौवायिर्यां नमो लोये सौजायां नमो लोये सौत्रिभावति सावनम् ओंकारमेन्दु संयुक्तं नित्यं ध्यायन्ति योगिनः कामदमोक्षदं च ओंकाराय नमो नमः मङ्गलं भगवान् यो मङ्गलं गोकुमोनि मङ्गलं कुञ्कुण्डारि योगेन्द्रमोसुमङ्गलं नमः समर्पयामि स्वानुभूत्या तथा स्थिति स्वभावाय भवाय विभाव निरसनिजाता नमो लोये सौरियन्तानं नमो लोये सौरिदानं
ओम नमो लोये सर्वत्रिकावर्ती अर्यन्ताणम् ओम नमो लोये सर्वत्रिकावर्ती सिद्धाणम् ओम नमो लोये सर्वत्रिकावर्ती आयर्याणम् ओम नमो लोये सर्वत्रिकावर्ती वज्जायणम् ओम नमो लोये सर्वत्रिकावर्ती सावणम् ओंकारं बिंदु संयुक्तं नित्यं ध्यायन्ति योगिनं कामदं मोक्षदं च ओंकाराय नमो नमः नमः समयसाराय स्वानुभूत्या चकासते चित्स्वभावाय भावाय सर्वभावान्तरच्छिदे अज्ञानतिमिरन्धनं ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः तीर्थंकरो जगतना जयवंत भर्तो ओंकारनाद जिननो जयवंत भर्तो जिनना समो शरण सौ जयवंत भर्तो ने तीर्थचार जगमा जयवंत भर्तो नमो ए तीर्थ नायक ने नमो ओंकारनाद ने ओंकार संगरो तेने नमो ते श्री कुंद कुंदने अहो उपकार जिनवर नो कुंद नो ध्वनि दिव्य नो जिन कुंद ध्वनियाप्य अहो ते गुरु काननो अहो ते भगवती मातनो ध्रुव अचलने अनुपम गति पामेल सर्वे सीधने वंदे कहूँ सुत केवली भाषित आसमय प्राभृत अरे हूँ एक शुद्ध सदा अरूपी ज्ञान दर्शनमय करे कई अन्य ते मारु जरी परमाणु मात्र नथी अरे जम नेत्र ते मज ज्ञान नति कारक नथी वेदक अरे जाने ज कर मोदय निर्जरा बंधते मज मोक्षने ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्य ओम नमः सिद्धेभ्य ओम श्री शुद्धात्माने नमः जय जिनेन्द्र Today is July 6th, Wednesday, and we are continuing our discussion on Samaysar. We'll be going through stanza 9 and 10. 3 weeks back, we just did preliminary, we did, and thereafter about 3 weeks of gap is there. So it will not be a bad idea to recapitulate everything quickly and go further. I'll bring the slides now. So this is stanza number 9 and 10. You can see the slide, right?
Yes. Okay,
so this is the way the stanza goes. We'll read that. Jo hi sune hari gacchadi appanamidam tu kevalam suddham tam suddha kevali misino vananti loya padivayara जो सुदयाणम सौवम जानदी सुद केवली तमाहु जीना राणम अप्पा सौवम जम्हा सुद केवली तमहा जुम्मम गुजराती गाथा सुत थी करे जे शुद्ध केवल जान तो आत्मने लोक प्रदीप करा ऋषि सुत केवली तेने कहे सुत ज्ञान सौ जाने जिनो सुत केवली तेने कहे सौ ज्ञान आत्मा हो इने सुत केवली ते थी ठरे So these are the Sanskrit translation of the stanza by Amrit Chandracharya Dev. And this is the Gujarati translation by Himmat Bhai Jethalal Shah at Songarh under the directions of Gurudev Sikhanji Swami. This is the Tika, means the explanation, and Bhavarth is a further explanation. So there's a heading of the stanza, means Utthanika. What is this stanza about? That's what they are going to, it says. This is the kind of a very unique thing that Kunkun Acharya Dev has done, that each stanza, he gives the heading, that what am I going to talk in this stanza, number one. Second thing, each and every stanza, number 1 to 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, now 8, and now we are 9 and 10, they all are related to each other. So it just gives a complete flow. So even if we don't know anything, and if we just read the heading of the stanza alone, 415 stanza heading, we'll have a pretty good idea of what Kunkun Acharya wants us to talk about, what he wants us to know about. So what it says, the learned student, there's a student over here who is learning, and he has come up to stanza 8 and he has digested it very well. So now a question is raised in a student's mind. And what he says? He said, how come the conventional point of view elucidate absolute point of view? If you remember in stanza 8, it said that a Bhasha Anarya Vinana Samajavi Shakaya Anaryane Vyavaharavana Paramarthano Upadesa Am Asakyache. Means, what it says, let me just make sure that my recording is going on. Okay, one second, hold it, please. Yes, it's going on. Okay. So, student is raising this question that in the 8th stanza it said that the barbarian person, he doesn't understand the civilized language. So one has to talk in his barbarian language only. That's only the way he can understand. For example, somebody can talk to us in Greek or French or Latin or whatever. We won't understand a single word out of it. But if they translate and talk in my own language, then I'll be able to understand. So conventional point of view is kind of barbarian language. An absolute point of view is like a civilized language. Me not having experiencing of the soul, that's why I don't understand the absolute point of view, means the civilized language. Only the thing that since time infinite, I'm been in relationship with the alien objects of the universe, and that's why I believe that I belong to the alien objects. And all the alien objects, if we just say, if we just take it out, actually this body is a matter particle, and I believe I am the body. I am the body. I put mindness, I put my ownership on this material body, and that is my barbarian understanding. And when Acharya Bhagavan wants to talk to me about the real nature of the soul, then it comes into the form of absolute point of view. So, student is raising question that how come conventional point of view elucidates absolute point of view? Because in previous stanza, it was said that conventional point of view shows absolute point of view. The barbarian language ultimately directs one to this civilized language. So then, it looks oxymoron, that conventional point of view, when we go to the 11th stanza, then it will just say conventional point of view is wrong. So if conventional point of view is wrong, then how come that wrong point of view will lead me to the absolute point of view, which is a right point of view? On one hand, it's been said that conventional point of view needs to be discarded because it's false. And over here, you are telling that student is raising question that over here you're telling that conventional point of view elucidate absolute point of view. So I'm getting confused. So please help me to clear my confusion. On the one hand, you said conventional point of view needs to be discarded. On the other hand, it says conventional point of view elucidate absolute point of view. So they are contradictory statements. And what do I have to understand from these two contradictory statements? Things to be discarded, and also it also shows me the absolute point of view. My true nature it shows. So this stanza is an answer to that question, that how conventional point of view elucidate absolute point of view. And that's Utthanika, means the heading of the stanza Acharya Bhagwan gave. And then, as we said, this thing over here, this is the stanza number 9 and 10 of the Samaysar. Then Kunkun Acharya also wrote down Pravachansar, and Pravachansar also stanza 33, which is more or less similar to what stanza 9 and 10 are talking about. So we are going to merge both the stanza and talk about it. But it says over here, Sutta Gnana Thi Jane Khare Gnayak Swabhavi Atman Rushiyo Prakasha Kalokana Sutta Kevali Tene Kahe. When we read this Samaysar, when we read Pravachansar, when we read Niyamsar, some of the stanzas they overlap because they are very important. Like 49th stanza of the Samaysar is being explained in every possible literature of Kunkun Swami because it's extremely important stanza. So here it just says similar to what the stanza 9 and 10 is saying. So Sutta. Now we have to go through certain definitions. There are so many definitions will come, and that we have to clarify those definitions so that way we can progress accordingly into this stanza. It's a unique stanza, and it compares with the enlightened soul, means a soul from the 4th spiritual development stage. He's been compared to the omniscient Lord, which is the 13th spiritual stage. So there's a comparison comes, and how is this comparison? And what is this? What does it amount to? How he's making comparison? So those are the things coming here. While we are talking all this thing, we also will talk spiritual development stages time to time, and ultimately, as I said last time, that we may have to take a separate class on spiritual development stage. And I think if after we are done with this 9 and 10 stanza, we should probably will take that spiritual development stages, which will explain to us exactly how my progress from the first spiritual development stage, which is the wrong belief, how it goes from wrong belief stage to right belief stage to the next one, and then ultimately to the liberation state. So I have to know the progression, so we'll be talking that one later on. So over here, Sutta Kevali. Sutta Kevali means spiritual omniscience, means knowing masters of the scriptures. So there's a definition given over here. One who knows the eternal, indivisible nature of the soul substance with his sacred knowledge. Sutta Gnan is known as knowing masters of scripture or Sutta Kevali. Word Kevali is very important here. Kevali means Keval. Keval means only. Absolutely only one. So when one knows the eternal soul substance only, that is called Kevali. One who ends up knowing his own eternal true nature only. That's Keval. Keval means only. Means I know my eternal true nature. Knowing means I can read the scripture and I know what's the nature of my eternal soul substance. That is not called knowledge. Knowledge means I know by reading the scriptures and then I follow that way, and now I direct my attention to the eternal true nature of the soul only. That's called Kevali. That's called Kevali. Now, on the 13th spiritual development stage, which is called omniscient stage, which is called Tirthankar, or it is called Kevali Bhagwan, then that 13th Gunsthana, 13th spiritual development stage of omniscient Lord, or the Tirthankar Bhagwan, or beyond, means Siddha Bhagwan, they all are called omniscient Lord, means they know eternal soul substance absolutely perfectly. That's all they know. Remember, faith is directed either of the two things. There is a faith attribute in the soul substance, and the faith attribute can have only two functions. Either the faith is directed to the alien objects of the universe, or the faith is directed to the eternal soul substance. There's nothing in between. So, where is my faith directed right now? Well, it's a summertime. Prior to starting the class, I just went to the thermostat. It was on 83 degree, and I said, oh, it's too hot. So now I made it to 79 degree. Why? Because I feel hot. Who is feeling hot? This body is feeling hot. Physical body, material body, non-living body is feeling heat. And so I put the air conditioning on. So I believe body is me. Body is me. I'm feeling hot. In fact, material, non-living body is feeling hot. So I believe body is mine, body is mine, body is mine. And that is the thing that my faith is directed to the alien objects of the universe. And closest thing that I have with my soul is my body. So body is mine, body is mine, body is mine. That kind of attitude which I have it every moment, whether I'm awake or whether I'm sleeping. That is called my faith directed to alien objects. And thereafter, from body onwards, this is my phone, this is my pen, this is my book, this is my house, this is my family, everywhere my ownership on the alien objects. And that's my faith is directed to the alien objects of the universe. My faith is towards there since time infinite, and that's why I have never experienced my soul substance. Now, when I read the books, when I attend the discourses of the enlightened souls, when I read the scriptures of Kunkun Swami, etc., now I understand intellectually what is the nature of the soul. Once I know the nature of the soul, then naturally I would like to go there, because that is the one is going to give me fulfilling all my wishes. In the sense, it's going to give me peace of mind. I want to go from point A to point B. What do I do first? I find it out from the Google that how can I go from point A to point B? Once I know that, once I have the knowledge of that thing, now my going becomes easier, because it's less likely that I'll lose my way. Similarly, by reading the scripture, by knowing the nature of the soul, now I know who am I? What is my true nature? What do I have to go? What do I have to do to go inside? And by doing all the things, ultimately my faith gets take a U-turn and gets directed to my eternal soul substance. That's called fourth spiritual developmental stage. Samyak darshan dasha, self-realization condition. So now my faith, which was directed to alien objects of the universe since time infinite in the past, now has taken turn and taken U-turn and came to on my eternal soul substance. This faith now remains to me on my eternal soul substance, starting now for time infinite in the future, even when I become the Siddha Bhagwan. It will remain with me that way only. So faith, alien objects direction changes to self direction, directed to the self, eternal self. And so one who knows and experiences the eternal indivisible nature of the soul substance with his sacred knowledge, Sutagnan, is known as knowing master of the scripture, or Sutta Kevali. What does it mean? What's the sacred knowledge? Knowledge is an attribute of the soul. Out of knowledge attribute, the 5 possible types of modes coming out. One mode could be perception knowledge. Second is called scriptural knowledge or sacred knowledge. Third is called clairvoyance knowledge. Fourth is called telepathy. And fifth is called omniscient knowledge. So this knowledge can be 5 different parts, out of which for us human being, we are 5 sense sentient beings, 5 sense organism with a mind. That's a human being. And so I have a sacred knowledge, means Sutagnan, means second type of knowledge. First, I have the perception knowledge, and second is Sutagnan, means sacred knowledge, or it's also called scriptural knowledge. So this scriptural knowledge helps me to know my scriptures and then help me to direct my faith attribute to the eternal soul substance. So this definition again, one who knows, means from the scripture, from the physical scripture, and now experiences, means the faith attribute is brought to the eternal soul substance. Now he is experiencing eternal indivisible nature of the soul substance. Soul substance is eternal, it's indivisible, it is unique in nature, cannot be divided, and it remains like this forever and ever. So when I direct my attention to the soul substance, with the help of my Sutagnan, with sacred knowledge, with the scriptural knowledge, now with the experiencing of my soul substance with this knowledge, I can be called master of the scripture, knowing masters of the scripture, or Sutta Kevali, or it can also be called scriptural omniscience. So Sutta Kevali or scriptural omniscience or knowing master of the scripture means having the knowledge gathered by reading the scripture, understanding the nature of the soul, and now directing the faith attribute from the alien object back to my eternal soul substance. And that person is called Sutta Kevali. He's called knowing master of the scripture, or he's called scriptural omniscient. Remember, here there is an experiencing of the soul occurs. Right now we all are talking. We understand. We are on the path to have our faith brought to the eternal soul substance. But it has not happened. So all the knowledge gathering, we have it right now. It is having knowledge gathering along with the faith still directed to alien objects. When my knowledge becomes really strong, my knowledge becomes very solid. Now I know that my happiness, my prospectus is staying within. My true nature is the place where I can get the bliss, when I can get happiness. And when I have that kind of knowledge gets stronger and stronger and solidifies deeper and deeper, one final moment, my faith attribute will say, okay, I'm going to bring the faith to the eternal soul substance. And at that time, one will be called Sutta Kevali. Here, important thing is to have experiencing of the soul substance. Remember, knowledge is there, and that kind of knowledge we have gathered infinite times in the past. But I kept it at knowledge level only, and I did not put enough of my personal effort to bring my faith attribute to the eternal soul substance. My whole idea, Acharya Bhagwan says, Kunkun Swami says, Amrit Chandra Acharya says, Gurudev Kanji Swami says, and also Omniscient Lord, everybody says that you read again, you digest it, you just keep on reciting again and again and again and solidify that knowledge. And that will ultimately help faith attribute come to my eternal soul substance. So, Sutta Kevali, scriptural omniscient, knowing master of the scripture, only can be told when there is experiencing of the soul substance. So, one ends up experiencing with his sacred knowledge, and therefore he is called Sutta Kevali. Both the stanza depends on Sutta Kevali definition. So Sutta Kevali, we have to get a proper understanding what exactly Sutta Kevali means. Now, Sutta Kevali goes from 4th spiritual development stage all the way to 12th spiritual developmental stage. Because from 4th spiritual development stage, 4th Gunsthanak, up to 12th Gunsthanak, I have knowledge which is called Sutta. It's called sacred knowledge. That is the one which I have it. As a human being, as a 5-sense sentient being, we all have 2 types of knowledge, perception knowledge and sacred knowledge, or called scriptural knowledge. This sacred knowledge or scriptural knowledge is the one with whose help I will be able to direct my faith to my eternal soul substance. So here experiencing is given a weight for definition of Sutta Kevali. Now, 13th spiritual development stage, 14th spiritual development stage, and beyond means Siddha Bhagwan, means liberated soul. They are called Omniscient Lord. And they also know the eternal true nature of the soul, but they know with their omniscience knowledge, Keval Gnan. Now, here we just say Sutta Gnan, and we are also saying Keval Gnan. Sutta Gnan is there from 4th to 12th spiritual developmental stage. And 13th spiritual stage, 14th spiritual stage, and Siddha Bhagwan, they are called Omniscient Lord, and they have the omniscience knowledge. What's the difference between scriptural knowledge and omniscience knowledge, or sacred knowledge and omniscience knowledge? Omniscient knowledge knows everything in the universe, all the universal substances, their past, present, and future modes. Omniscient Lord can perceive in one samay, one moment, complete perception. While Sutta Kevali means a sacred knowledge or the scriptural knowledge, what does it do? It knows, but it knows with a divisional aspect, and it doesn't know within one samay. It takes more time. So scriptural knowledge is partial knowledge compared to omniscience knowledge. In the 33 stanza of Pravachan, it says that the omniscience knowledge is like knowing with the sunlight, and scriptural knowledge is like knowing with the lamplight. Both the things, sunlight and lamplight. In the darkness, lamplight will show me the path. In the daytime, sunlight will show me the path. Sun is a brighter and lamp is a weaker, but they both will show me the pathway. So Sutagnan, Sutakevali, or scriptural omniscience, or knowing master of the scripture, their knowledge is kind of little bit limited compared to omniscience knowledge, which is a perfect knowledge. So these two stanzas, I'm trying to explain to you difference between the omniscient knowledge and the scriptural knowledge. And then it says what happens with the experiencing and everything. So this is our basis that we have to understand. Once we have clarity of this subject in our mind, now we'll be able to understand better and better of the next sets of things coming. This one is, as I said, stanza 33, which is similar to the Samaysar 9 and 10 stanza. You may ask question, what's the difference between Pravachansar and what's the difference between Samaysar? Kunkun Swami, Lord Kunkun Swami, the Acharya Kunkun Swami went with his physical body to Mahavidya Kshetra. What is Mahavidya Kshetra? Again, we'll have to take the Jain geography one time, and that will also give us an idea. But we are living in the southern part of the Jambu area. Jambu is a Jambu island. We live in the southern area. It's called Bharat Kshetra. Northern area is called Airavat Kshetra. And in the center, there is called Mahavidya Kshetra. And in Mahavidya Kshetra, there are always Tirthankar Bhagwan present. So when Kunkun Swami had a question, Kunkun Swami was a very highly learned Acharya monk, Acharya Bhagwan. He was a very highly learned monk, and he was in 6th and 7th spiritual stage, and he had certain question in his mind about the scripture, about the spirituality. So with his own physical body, he had the capacity, he had extraordinary capacity to travel into the space. Some of the highly learned monks, they can have some extraordinary capacity, and they may be able to use sometimes for benefiting of the self and or benefit of the nation at large. They won't use it for their personal gain. Just because I have that capacity, oh, let me show it to everybody and make money out. No, he will not do that. Muni Raj at 6th and 7th spiritual stage, when they have those capacities, there are several different types of capacities that they may possibly gain. Not every Muni Raj will gain it. Some may gain it. They are called Charan Labdhidhari Muni Raj. So Kunkun Swami had this capacity, his attainment, and as a result, he went to Mahavidya Kshetra. 2000 years back, he went there and he stayed for 8 days. And he went to preaching assembly of the Simandha Swami. Simandha Swami Samosaran. He listened to the discourses of Simandha Swami. He also discussed with lots of Sutta Kevalis there. Remember Sutta Kevali? Sutta Kevali means the one who has experienced individual nature of the soul and also had sacred knowledge. Those kind of learned saints, he discussed those things. He cleared his doubts and he came back to Bharat Kshetra, means our area. And in southern India, he was there. And right now also, he was on a Vipulgiri mountains in a Karnataka state, and there are footprints are there. And whatever scriptures that he wrote down on the palm leaves, they are also preserved right now in southern India. So once he came back, then he started writing the scriptures. The very first scripture he wrote down was a Pravachan-sar. And thereafter, second scripture he wrote down was Samaysar. He also wrote down Niyam-sar. What are these different scriptures? What do they teach us? How do they relate to each other? There is kind of watershed division between among those several scriptures that Kunkun Swami wrote. Mainly Samaysar scripture is most famous scripture and most important scripture for us to experience our innate nature. Samaysar scripture talks about the nature of the soul from faith perspective. Samaysar talks about the nature of the soul from the faith attribute perspective. Remember, faith is directed two places, either to the alien object or to my eternal soul substance. So when my faith gets directed to the eternal soul substance, what happens at the time? Samaysar describes all those things. Then, so the second thing is Pravachan-sar. Pravachan-sar is written from the knowledge perspective. Pravachan-sar will tell you everything about soul as a substance, attribute as an infinite attributes in indivisibility, and then each attribute is having their own modes occurring every samay, and each mode has an origination and cessation and constancy. Then it will just describe how each mode is independent, how the origination of the mode is independent, how the disintegration of the mode is independent, how the constancy is independent, how the mode is independent, how the attributes are independent, and how the soul substance is independent. So it gives total picture of the soul. It gives the anatomy and physiology of the soul completely. So Pravachan-sar is a very, very important scripture we have to learn also. Because first thing, it gives a whole hierarchy where I belong. Once I know where I belong, then Samaysar says, out of all these things, my aim, my bull's eye is an eternal soul substance. So I know everything, and then I may concentrate on my eternal soul substance. That's a Samaysar. Pravachan-sar gives total description of the soul substance from knowledge perspective. Niyam-sar scripture, Acharya Bhagavan wrote down, and it just shows how will you achieve the eternal soul substance. How will you make the unity of the knowledge, faith, and conduct modes together. So that is from the conduct perspective. Samaysar from the faith perspective, Pravachan-sar from knowledge perspective, and Niyam-sar from conduct perspective. And if we just go through all those things, we'll have a pretty good idea of who I am. As Srimadji said, હું કોણ છું ક્યાંથી થયો છું સ્વરૂપ છે મારું ખરું કોના સંબંધે વળગણા છે રાખું કે પરિહરું. So these three scriptures, when I digest very well, then I know who exactly I am, what is my aim, why I am in this, why am I existing in this universe, and I am able to liberate myself from this worldly bondage because of my own personal effort. I am not dependent on anybody. Gurudev Sri Kanji Swami for 45 years kept on saying about the independence of the soul and attribute and their modes also. Just because somebody makes my life miserable, so I'm angry, that means that person is responsible. Samaysar says no. Kunkun Acharya says no. I am responsible for my deeds. Buck stops at me. I can't blame it to anybody else. Whatever happens to me, because of me, and that's it. And I can clear those problems of my own. I'm the creator of my problem. I'm the solver of my problem. I'm everything. So those are the things Samaysar, Pravachansar, Niyamsar teaches us. So we can go further. Next one. We are going to take some definitions because some of the definitions are involved in this stanza. And this is a unique thing. 9 and 10 stanza, some of the definitions, once we understand, then 11, 12, further stanza, it becomes easier and easier to understand. Here we are for almost about 2 years, and we are talking about stanza 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6. We came over here. And as we progress further, Gurudev Sikhanji Swami used to say, if you understand 16 stanzas of Samaysar, the rest of the 415 stanzas are the further expansion of that first 16 stanza. That's the reason we are taking time not to rush through, because this is a solid foundation we are making right now. We can't afford to have any loose ends. Our bricks have to be solid. Our foundation has to be solid. And that's what we are doing right now. So, some definition. The word will call Dravya Srut. Dravya Srut means a type of scriptural knowledge, means Jinvani, means sacred knowledge. In our philosophy, Omniscient Lord is considered as our Father, who has shown the path to us. And Jinvani is our mother. So, Omniscient Lord, my Father, and Jinvani means scriptural knowledge, my scriptural books, they are my mother. So, I have to really, really respect my mother and father. And so Jinvani has to be respected immensely. That's why when we start Swadhay, we do the Mangalacharan. When we end the Swadhay, we do 9 Namakar mantra. So we are giving respect toward Jinvani. So this is very important. So that's called Dravya Srut. Dravya means material, and Srut means one which gives the knowledge. This is my Samaysar book. My Samaysar book is a scripture, and when I read, then I understand. And when I understand, I know about my soul substance. So Jinvani is my mother, and that's called Dravya Srut. There are 3 important entities. They work as an instrumental cause for my well-being. My well-being means my spiritual well-being. What are those 3 entities? Omniscient Lord, Holy Scriptures, and enlightened monks. Dev, Shastra, and Guru. These are the 3 important entities that they act as an instrumental cause for my spiritual well-being. Dev, Shastra, Guru, Omniscient Lord, Holy Scripture, and enlightened monks. So they are the one guiding me. But to be guided or not to be guided depends on me. I have this scripture in my house for last 30, 40 years. I did not look at it. So now when I said, I want to read, I want to learn, I want to understand, I want to digest this knowledge, then this book was present. Omniscient Lord's message was present. Gurudev's lectures are present. Gurudev's lectures written in the form of books are present. It all depends on me. If I'm hungry, food is present in front of me. So my hunger has to be there. So that's why when we do the puja, You must have experienced. When we do puja, we always give arg to the Dev Shastra Guru first. Means we give we recite certain verses to remember omniscient Lord, Holy Scripture, and enlightened monks. These are the things standard in every place. So that's called Dravya Shrut. Now, Dravya Shrut Kevali. Now, what is Dravya Shrut Kevali? It's a knowledge, scriptural knowledge, full or partial, along with self-realization. Dravya Shrut Kevali means I have the scriptural knowledge. Now I know this Samaysar in depth. I know pravachans are in depth. I know niyams are in depth. I know panchastika in depth. I know these scriptures in depth. And after knowing this scripture, after studying this scripture, understanding from my intellectual level, now I put into the action. I keep on reciting the scriptural knowledge. I kind of make this knowledge solidified within me. And so solidify, I make it that now I know who I am. I'm the all-knower, Ugnayakshu, Ugnayakshu, Ugnayakshu. I'm the all-knower soul substance. I'm the all-knower soul substance. I know, I have capacity to know everything. This kind of recitation keeps on going within me. And when that happens, now the faith attributes, just as my faith mode, which is directed to the alien object, gets converted and now gets directed to my eternal soul substance. And that gives me self-realization. When with this scriptural knowledge, I get the self-realization, then the scriptural knowledge is called Dravya Shrut Kevali. I gather all the knowledge, but it remains as a knowledge form only. And I did not progress further. I did not go into my self-experiencing faith. Then it's all useless. So I have to know this knowledge. I have to know this scriptural knowledge. And after knowing that one, after solidifying that knowledge, now I direct my faith mode to my eternal soul substance. And at that time, this knowledge is called Dravya Shrut Kevali. This definition is from the point of external scriptural point of view. We are putting weight on the external scripture. I have the scriptural knowledge. I have the scriptural knowledge followed by experiencing. So that whole situation is now called Dravya Shrut Kevali. Full or partial, we'll talk later on. Right now, it's not the point. We'll just talk later on about it because it will come further. Now, when you say Dravya Shrut Kevali, means, Dravya means material. Then Bhav means inclination occurring within my soul. Each time a word Dravya comes, means related to the material objects, and when the word Bhav comes, it is related to the inclination of the soul, soul's inclination. So these are, we have to have clarity in our mind. Wherever the Dravya word comes, means it's related to the material object. When the Bhav word comes, means it is the inclination occurring in the soul substance. For example, Dravya Punyam, Bhav Punyam, means material auspicious karma fruition is called Dravya Punya. When material auspicious karma fruition occurs, at the time with my own doing, I go into the auspicious inclination. So auspicious inclination occurring within me is called Bhav Punya. And material particles, karma, fruition coming is called dravya punya. Same way, bhav pap, dravya pap, bhav asra, dravya asra, bhav ban, dravya ban, bhav samvar, dravya samvar, bhav nijra, dravya nijra, bhav moksha, dravya moksha. All kind of words will come. Dravya means related to matter and bhav means related to my inclination within me. So now we are talking bhav srut. First we talk dravya srut. Dravya srut means scriptural knowledge, physical scriptural knowledge. Jinvani means books. Bhav srut means sacred knowledge along with experiencing the nature of the eternal self is known as bhav srut. Now, look at both the definitions over here. Dravya srut and bhav srut, more or less they are the same word. Here it says knowledge along with the self-realization. Here it says sacred knowledge along with the self-experience of the nature of the eternal soul. So, what's the difference here? It's the same situation. We are looking from two different aspects. A person has an experiencing of his innate soul state. I have right now experiencing of my innate soul state, for example. Now, say this situation, if I'm looking from material knowledge point of view, books point of view, it's called dravya srut kevali. And same situation when I'm looking from within my own soul, then it's called bhav srut kevali. It's a play of word which substance you are giving importance, which event you are giving importance. Experiencing occurred within a given soul. Eternal soul's experiencing occurred. Means faith mode which was directed to alien objects, means body, now got directed to the eternal soul substance. The faith mode is turned into the eternal soul substance, and that is called experiencing of the soul, nature of the eternal soul substance. Now, until now, I was experiencing my body. I'm feeling hot, I'm feeling cold, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I'm angry. Those are the things I was experiencing my physical body state. Instead of that, now my faith mode is translated into and directed to the eternal soul substance, means I have now experiencing of the soul substance. So, experiencing of the soul substance, experiencing of my soul substance, if I'm looking from scriptural point of view, then it's called dravya srut kevali. And if I'm looking at the same situation from my internal point of view, from soul's point of view, then it's called bhav srut kevali. So, these are the things that it's a play of word, but it depends what importance am I giving to which substance I'm giving importance. Next one will come bhav srut and bhav srut kevali. Bhav srut is a situation, bhav srut is an event, and bhav srut kevali is the one who has performed that event. Dravya srut is an event. Dravya srut kevali is the person who performed that event of knowing the scripture. Bhav srut is an event of experiencing soul substance. And bhav srut kevali is a person, entity, the soul who has experienced this thing. So what it says, bhav srut kevali, dravya srut becomes instrumental cause, means this book is present here, Samaysar, and Samaysar book is present forever in my house, but now I open the book, I start reading, means this book is helping me to know, means this book become instrumental cause for me to know. So dravya srut become instrumental cause. Now, when I know the subject matter from this Samaysar, I got the knowledge. Now I solidified the knowledge. I make this knowledge so strong that now my faith mode, which was directed to outside object, gets directed to the inside. So now, Bhavsrut Gnan means experiencing the indivisible nature of the eternal true self from all the angles. This person is known as Bhavsrut Kevli. Here, primary consideration from the experiencing point of view. Here, consideration was from the scriptural point of view. So, definition is a one event we are looking from two different ways. From scriptural point of view, Dravyasut and Dravyasut Kevli. From experiencing point of view, from a soul's perspective, it's a Bhavsrut and Bhavsrut Kevli. Bhavsrut is an event and Bhavsrut Kevli is an event performer. Dravyasut is an event and Dravyasut Kevli is a performer. So these are the definition. These are the words will be coming as we progress further. So I think our time is coming to an end, so I will stop over here. If there is a question, then we can just entertain. Remember, these words did not come before. So it is a good idea. We should just get to understand exactly what they mean to tell us. Remember, the event is a one event only. For example, sun is setting right now, and in about an hour or hour and a half or so in Arizona, sun will set, and the dusk will occur. It's a sun has set, darkness has not yet come in. That's your dusk. Now, do you call that as a day or do you call as a night? Well, because sun is not there, that's why I call it as a night. But because you still have the dusk, light is present, so I can call day. Events, situation is same. Is look from the two different perspectives. And that's the same thing over here. Dravyasut Kevli is looking from the external scriptural point of view. Bhavsrut Kevli from experiencing phase. But in situation, what it is, in actual situation is a knowledge gathered by me, solidification of the knowledge, and with that solidification of knowledge, now my faith mode gets transmitted from, it gets turned from the alien objects of the universe back to me, and that's an event. And we are looking from two different angles. You know? If there is a question, we can entertain the question here. We have a couple of minutes out there. Because, you know, remember that Acharya Bhagavan is trying to turn he's taking us, gradually he's taking us deeper and deeper and deeper, because it's like it's going to be abyss, there is no point of return. Because he's going to tell us that, yes, I want you to get engrossed within your true nature, and I'm just showing the pathway for all these things, you know. Any questions so far? None? Okay, then we'll do the closing, okay? Shavani ke gyan se suje lokalo, sovani mastaka namo sada detu dhak. 9 times Namoka mantra. More in them. Jai Jinendra, Mitchai Tukram, thank you very much. And, we'll meet next week, okay?